Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
Into the 2 days and what kind of tone they set for parliamentary, both parliamentary and presidential campaign. Generally speaking, the trajectory of elections. Before I shift to Honorable Flavia, could you say something about the Bimufukidde incident where the Speaker of Parliament emerged unopposed, but under circumstances that are quite mind-boggling?
So this is the second time, I think. Yeah. The Right Honourable Anita is coming back unopposed. I think 2021 she did so. She was a speaker, she was a backbencher. And so you can't say she has come back unopposed because of the power of the speaker. I think there are things she's doing on the ground, right, in her view, in the view of many people in Bimufukidde. But I suspect that with now becoming the speaker, there are people who would actually want to target her. And therefore, they will say anything about her. And by the way, even in the first case, the three or two ladies who came, and they were allegedly deleted from the voters' register by the tribunal. That is provided for under the law. If you are asleep, and then your opponents take advantage of the technicalities that you are not physically present, they will move. You may not know that actually these are things that are provided for in the law. I remember in one of the groups I belong, there's actually a lawyer who asked, is there a parish tribunal, a lawyer, when those issues of Bimufukidde came? And one person reminded him that actually the parish tribunal, which listens to complaints to delete dead people, people have transferred, people people have appeared twice, more than once on the register. And then he said, I'm sorry that I did not know that this law, this provision in the electoral law actually exists. Now, it is possible that these people of NOP who are crying foul now, themselves did not know. Today, we have a NOP candidate who has been nominated in my constituency of West Budama Central, the one where the Honorable Oboth, the Minister of Defense, is. The young man has been residing in Wakiso. That's where he registered. For some reason, he did not make a transfer to that constituency. By law, you are supposed to be a candidate. You can be a candidate wherever, as long as you are a registered voter. You don't have to be a registered voter in your constituency. But usually, voters will use it against you. Some of them, yesterday when you go to nominate it, they try to move against him. That, you see, he's not. So both said, no, we can fight that politically. If we do it, they will say, no, people will not see that my hand is not in it, and they let it pass. Now, a candidate or another registered voter can petition the election team and say, so and so is not a registered voter, although has picked nomination forms. I suspect that's what has happened in the first case.
So now, you don't see any shenanigans?
No, I don't see. I probably can see maybe shenanigans in the second one, where they say, is it the one called a CEO or a Porot?
Both of them are Lupo.
Alupo is the first one. Yes. Alupo, CEO is now this one. Who I am hearing only from her, where she's now saying
she was at that.
How whereabouts are not known. Because when in the nomination yesterday, and all of us have been monitoring, do I have a competitor? All of persons have been more glued to say, yesterday I nominated. I keep checking the hours. Is there another person coming? And if there's another candidate coming to nominate against me, who are they? So I did not bother myself finding out this new situation. until I saw that she had been declared unopposed. And then on the social media, particularly X, is now where I now begin to see people complaining. Actually, there is a video, I don't know whether it is authentic or not, where a man is out of a gate and is shouting at the police for locking him out, and yet he had picked nomination forms, he filed them, and was not allowed to enter. I have not had time to verify whether his altercation with the police is based on facts or not. And I told you earlier on, before we started this, I said, I don't know whether the law provides for it. Maybe it is for the future, where we think that there is a powerful person or bad-mannered person who can block. Isn't there a provision for a candidate or a prospective candidate to apply to the to the headquarters and say, I don't trust your local district office and returning officer because of reason X, Y, Z. I pray that I should be nominated at another location.
Thank you.
Maybe that can, in the future, that can deal with things like that.
I will certainly get back to you. Honorable Flavia, does the Bukede scenario give you a glimpse or foretaste into the machinations that you're likely to encounter in these campaigns?
Of course, we've always had a challenge and a real problem with Bukede as a district, even from the by-election that was held just in this previous term that we are concluding. I think for me, the power dynamics in this country and the high levels of impunity is something that is extremely strong in all elections whenever we have an electoral cycle or whenever we have any election. And it just clearly comes out, especially whenever you have people that are using their power to suffocate the newcomers, the younger people, the younger voices. And for me, that's where I really find it difficult to put respect to some of the names and colleagues that we work with, because if the year before you did the same thing and your fellow contenders were arrested, and then the same time, the coming year, you're doing the same thing, people disappearing. And this is not only the case, but whenever we have this is not the only case, and it's not the unique case we have alone, but most territories where we have these big wigs, we see such recurrences most of the times. I know for a fact that in Gulu, our woman MP, Liama was also stressed over the same thing. She was literally fighting to get nominated today because NRM bigwigs, the RDCs, the DSOs, the whoever's, were trying to bribe all her seconders, proposers, official agents. They were trying to block her from accessing, the nomination, the election, the returning officer's desk. They were trying to hide documents. So this is a practice that we see in areas where NRM largely thinks that they are predominant and have the largest number of voters. But I think for me it comes out largely to speak to the stifling of voices, the continuous shrinking of democratic spaces where people just want to go through unopposed so that they can be all over the place, disturbing other constituencies, knowing that they've already secured their candidature. And also it also speaks largely to how we are using resources, but also how we are using the systems in place. For example, why
have you sought legal redress at all over this scenario?
At the moment, we are still looking. We've already filed a police report, and we are still looking for who? We are still looking for those two young ladies, because Asio and Alupo both are missing. Alupo was waiting for Asio so that they could be moving together. Both of them went missing. We don't know where they are, and we are still looking for them. But of course, after that, we are going to, you saw NUP, for the first part of Alupo, we filed a case where they were trying to stop Alupo from nominating after disappearing her from the list. But I think for me, I just want to speak largely to the picture that we have as a country, the low standards we have set with people who feel they are entitled to being the only candidates in a race. we are in a multi-party political system. There is no way you're going to come up and tell people that they are not going to contest. They are not going to contest you. You're not going to stop people from coming out to support the candidates they want. We saw a clear case with His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the president, when he went to Kakumiro. What happened? The large levels of impunity. When a whole prime minister, people still using their powers to stifle other people's voices, went campaigning around telling people not to come out of their houses to listen to his message. And then further went ahead to plant a whole police helicopter in the field, which was supposed to be used as a what? A rallying point. And of course, OO was talking about the bashes, street bashes that NUP is doing. Of course, that is sad that is calling them street bashes, because we don't talk about with these street bashes. Oh, I don't even want to use this word. These, the processions, let me call them processions, come about by the mere fact that when people are pushed in very small spaces and they are escorting their person, their president, the person they love, the person they want to hear from, and they are sometimes pushed in small spaces, they are sometimes pushed on small roads, they are sometimes used, they are using alternative routes which they were not, you know, which weren't agreeable to in the first place. This is what comes out. People start fighting to see the one person. Now, when you see Kakumiro, where a whole shameless prime minister plants a helicopter in the field, what other alternative do people have except move into the road and have a rally from there? So I think that's where we need to have a clearer conversation as a country on what went wrong. The use of institutions for personal gains, that is something we have to abuse largely. But I also think we need to look at the so many unresolved disputes that we had in the previous campaign. For example, Simon, when I speak about this campaign that is, you know, setting form right now, we still have wounds as Ugandans. As the opposition, we still have wounds. We still have some of our colleagues that are still rotting in prisons. Mothers still have children that they don't know whose whereabouts are. Our sons have fathers that are lost, that were, you know, murdered in the previous elections. As a country, we are still wounded. And so whenever we are reflecting on what the next, you know, campaign election cycle is bringing about, people are living in fear. Are
you surprised that campaigns have kicked off on a very calm note?
I think to some point, I am not too surprised. Of course, it's a 50-50 issue. Let me explain it this way. Because when we move into this election, knowing that it's going to be highly violent because of the trend that was set previously in the 2021 general election, I think the 2021 general election saw the highest number of violence, you know, and the highest levels of violence in that election. But because of the limelight, let me call it limelight, because of the torch that was shone very prominently on the various practices of violence in that election, I think also that sets the tone to be toned down for the police and the security operatives, because worldwide everyone was condemning that. Worldwide everyone was calling upon the different security operatives to behave. So for some reason, because their image, which was already tainted, is too tainted, they are trying so hard to cleanse it. And I think that's why we are now having the lack of tear gas that is being used, lack of the bullets, the actual bullets being utilized and things like that. But that doesn't mean that we are not being subjected to certain other undertones that are not too prominent like that violence. For example, if our president, Kyagulanyi, decides to do a rally in a certain place and you use the longer route for him to get to that place, you're diverting him several times. You're hindering him from using the shortest routes to get to where he wants to communicate with his people much faster. Then that's where the challenge is. So they are now not outrightly coming out as violent, but they are using violence in a different form so that they can intimidate, but they can also weaken, but they can also frustrate the masses that come in to listen to their messages.
Well,
so
thank you.
I think that's where we, as a country, we are.
Honorable
we need to work on that.
The stage is set. What are the things to watch?
I want to start with Bukidde.
I'd rather we look at it generally in terms of...
Yeah, but both Ofono and Flavia have spoken about it. I came here, I come here to see, but also to learn from others. I have learned from Ofono Pondo what he called rationalism in political science. He has done exactly the same thing about Bukede. And thank you very much. So when you teach students, they
arguing conveniently,
they may not forget. Because look, the NRM primary went the same way. Anita Mongo never had a person who was controversially removed.
No, but are you suggesting...
No, you have had your time,
are you
so
suggesting,
can you for once listen?
I hope I will come back to this.
So the NRM primary went through the same way. It is not surprising that this nomination, because you have had candidates, they complain, the Electoral Commission has kept mum. Sure, they are not saying anything. You, the NRM people, this is a political science professor who is arguing against rationalism, is also rationalizing that if people sleep. Because you see, Ofono Pondo, a political party cannot say we have presented two candidates and all of them are being deregistered, controversially. And then another one has disappeared. You, who also sits with the security, doesn't that bother you? NRM primary, competitor is removed. National election, candidates are being removed from the register. Now another one has disappeared. And as Flavia said, the LOC 5 elections in Bukedia, you remember what happened? Even Museveni complained, before voting, all the boxes were full. Maybe there will be no election in that area. And I hold the Speaker of Parliament responsible. Because the Speaker of Parliament should help in the democratization process. But she has been infected by the NRM bad manners, and she's a very good student, I think, of her boss, who in NRM primary allows no competitor, and there will be a motion to just validate his nomination. But I mean, you can do that in NRM primary, but to bring that to the national process, you must be ashamed that you can come here and validate a removal of candidates.
Yeah, but you
said unless you are saying,
and you are choosing victims.
Unless you are saying
that would be wrong. That you are choosing
the law
as is. You are choosing victims.
But also, don't make big people
victim blaming
feel guilty for applying the law that is in existence. For example, now we have concluded the nomination. From tomorrow, candidates are allowed, will probably be allowed. Not probably, this is the law. You can now go and inspect what URA filed. Are you saying Flavia, who is now a sitting MP, tomorrow if she files and
not attacking 7, that candidate will be misplaced, because that's the source of our problems as a country. So all my candidates must learn and explain to the public why M7 has become a problem to the country.
But what is going to define your contest for Chira specifically is red wrestling with blue.
No, but I've told you that has happened in all elections.
No, this is going to be fierce.
No, that's what you think. Or maybe that's what you want. But the results will tell you a different story. The results will tell you a different story. So parties must contest against each other. The only limitation we have is that we have a common enemy to deal with. That's why you, the media and the public, expect you want us to unite. But if that hasn't happened, then the population will go and sort out. So I don't see anything different from the campaigns that I have had. They have been fierce. The first campaign I had, the DP candidate, we had very serious campaigns. The second one, there was another DP candidate. The last one, I had a NUP candidate. And that is not limited to my constituency. You will find the opposition MPs, because you don't have an opposition party contesting against each other. And I don't find any problem with it. Because even where you have more than one, except in constituencies where you marginally win. But constituencies in Kampala and Wakiso in the last elections, you had more than 5 people from opposition parties contesting against each other, but you never lost them to NRM.
Don't you find it quite astonishing that while PFF was trying to reach out to NU for a united front, it's all turned out to be more of a bitter fight, and you've shifted from the ball called Museveni. Now it's about the rivalry, irreconcilable rivalry between...
The trouble is that I now go to the professor who said you argue without evidence. You need to listen to my speech yesterday. I never spoke about no, I never spoke about even parliamentary candidates, including the NRM. I want to focus on the big problem to the country, not even the people who are victims, because many of the NRM people are victims, just looking for survival. If they faced a different situation, they will behave differently. So for me, my campaigns, I never speak about competitors, I never speak about fellow victims. I want to focus on Museveni and his family and the brutality. And I want everybody in Nigeria to understand that, and I'm going to be judged by that.
So for now, how do you relate with NU?
The campaigns will surprise you. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say this, but you may find people in your own party who don't support you. And then you have people from other parties who support you for different reasons. I know vice versa, you'll find an MP, it's bad manner, but he's sponsoring even many other candidates, including those beyond his party. But you also find people from other parties declaring support to people of other parties. So it's common. It's common. It's not a new thing.
Of course, like we said earlier, Mawogola is one of the constituencies to watch. We've already had snippets of violence, money, and undue influence. Do these worry you that they could spring up now that you're getting into the real heat of the race?
No, his neighbor, Sechko, they shot and killed someone. So the election is going to be
bloody,
arbitrated by violence and a gun.
There you have it. Sinziggu is right. In fact, when you look at when Honorable Shatsi was withdrawing from the race, she wrote a letter to us, her voters, because I was her supporter. She had been to my house at the farm a week before she announced. She sent me a message in the night and said, I'm making an announcement tomorrow, don't be surprised. And in that letter, she said, she gave 3 reasons why she was quitting the race. And one of the reasons, one of the 3, was that I am leaving because of intimidation, brutality, and insecurity. And to save my people from the 3, I am leaving. Now, the level of impunity that happened in the last election visited on our people by one of the candidates. It is the first time that in Zimbabwe we had IDPs, internally displaced people. They would come with goons from Kampala and all over the place, get them into Zimbabwe, give them lists, and then send them out. People ran out of their homes. 3 days ago, I met LC1 chairpersons from one of the sub-counties called the Mijwara, very near there. And there were 40 chairpersons. One of them said he had not slept on a mat for the last 40 years, but had to run from his house and go to a neighbor's who only had 1 room to sleep in with his wife. So they gave him a mat. Now, that level of brutality that happened in Zimbabwe last time, that has forced a candidate to withdraw, what does that mean? Yes, it worries me, but what do we have as a choice? Do we surrender to brutality or confront it?
What does the absence of interventions from the powers that be speak to you?
No. I think they must intervene this time. Because if they don't intervene, you see, last time they were beating up people like, I don't even want to say like cows, because we don't beat cows anymore like that as cattle keepers. We now use smaller sticks to chase them around. If they don't intervene, because you see, if you come and beat up people who are going to vote on voting day, you don't know whose vote are you beating. For example, if I had not entered into it, because we had a number of meetings after this candidate remained alone almost and unopposed, and we said we don't deserve this for the two reasons that O mentioned and the others that he never mentioned, because he said as there were two. We thought the man was not competent, and he's not, and we also thought he's not qualified, and he's not.
But he was nominated, so you give it to him. He must be qualified.
You'll give it to him. I will not give it to him. I'm writing to the Electoral Commission tomorrow to give me his papers, which he submitted yesterday. So I've instructed the lawyers to write to Electoral Commission tomorrow, Friday. The letter is going to Electoral Commission to ask for his documents, because he's not qualified, but he's also not competent.
Do you have any record about his academic credentials?
No, I have it unofficially. I want to get it officially, so that then I'm able to bring it here and debate it publicly. Even one of the other candidates who was nominated today, I saw him when I was getting out, he was reading it to the press. I went to say hello to Honorable Sechikubo because I was getting out and Honorable Sechikubo was coming in.
I saw NBS has offered to host a joint debate between you and that other candidate.
I'm available. Any day, any minute, I'll be glad to join the debate.
But remember, this is the NRM preferred candidate. You want to paint a picture that NRM never did due diligence.
I don't know what NRM you are talking about. I'm talking about NRM, I think, means the voters in Maogora North. I hope you are not saying NRM means Chadondo. NRM means those voters. Chadondo endorses what those voters have said.
Chadondo imposed on Maogora?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes.
By?
That I can say without fear of contradiction.
By who?
You will find out who imposed it. We never voted for him. And last time we lined up behind Shatsi, Honorable Shatsi. This time we lined up behind nobody. That's a fact. You don't like it, you don't like it. There was no lining up. So he's unable to know what strength he has or what weakness he has.
So you're going to be a protagonist in this bloody showdown?
No, it's not bloody. Remember, even last time he was standing with Honorable Shatsi. There was no violence from Honorable Shatsi's side. Never. The people who are all beaten, who got admitted, who did what, who are being hunted like game, who became IDPs in their constituents, were Honorable Shatsi's supporters. I think my place is the only place they feared to come. But everybody, and by the way, NBS covered this story. The violence that happened in Maogora North last time was simply unprecedented. By the way, with all the controversies in Zimbabwe, we have never had that level of violence until this gentleman appeared on the political scene of that place. For them, it's a do or die kind of thing. You wait, let people vote for you.
Okay.
If they don't
what's
vote
been
for
in
you,
the precursor now? What have you seen?
No. Now,
the early warning signs.
I have.
Maybe he is preparing for balance of terror.
I have gone. No. First of all, we have warned them that there is nobody who has a monopoly over violence. And when you push people so hard, they are going to do two things. And now you wait and see what is going to happen in Maogora. It is going to be a choice between the power of the gun or the power of the ballot. And the people are willing to punish because, as she says, people still have scars of the last beating.
But it is a word. It is
so
just fine.
I am interested in the Zimbabwe story. And my interest, I think, Fonopono, who speaks for the family rule.
No, he spoke for government.
He's no government, he speaks for. This one who speaks for the family rule. Because the appeal from, is a veiled appeal from Jet, who is contesting there. And being NRM, he may not want to say it. Because the other day the president removed his brother,
Zaire,
who was contesting against Barrio Munsi. There was time he removed Ruawog, and I told Ruawog, we are on a show like this one. And they say the family will remove you. You say the family cannot remove me. From my knowledge of the family, eventually he was removed. So why don't you make the same appeal to the president to remove this one the way he removed the other? Because his family is becoming a very big problem. The brother has set up a kingdom in the north where people go to bow or to thank if they are appointed. The wife runs education, the son runs the military. Now the brothers, one by one, want to set up kingdoms. Now one wants to set up a kingdom in Zimbabwe. So
you're eating into OO's time.
No, I am asking him because he speaks for this family. It is in the interest, broader interest of these areas, but also in the broader interest of the country. Because you see, if Museveni's brother wanted to contest and is not accused of violence,
that would
absolutely there should be no problem. Because that's a legitimate right. And you don't want to deny anyone who wants to go and contest. But if they are accused of violence,
guns, some you that's enough.
That's a matter. No, let me ask you my question. So that's the question this spokesperson of the family rule should tell us. Because where do they get the state that they are deploying to make people withdraw from campaigns because they are fearing violence? I have told you in the case of Sechikubo, as a person just survived death. I even raised it in Parliament because the person who was shot and killed, the Honorable Sechikubo told us he was standing next to him. So maybe they were targeting Sechikubo, and people who shot that person are still there, unpunished. So you who speak for this family, tell us, why don't you do this country?
You have made a whole thesis, but...
No, I have spoken for 2 minutes, so your thesis is in 2 minutes.
The Constitution of Uganda does not bar the family of the president from serving in the government of Uganda. If one, they have the qualification, two, if they have been appointed appropriately, and three, if it is a democratic process, they have chosen to participate in. However, that does not preclude them from obeying the law. Yes. If you think they have offended the law, there are mechanisms. Sue them. Sue them to the competent jurisdiction about what they have done, and that jurisdiction will judge them so or otherwise.
Yeah, but
I know it is now fashionable for Sinziggu, if he doesn't rope in the president and his family, and I think it does, it would be strange, but I think it does it in the futile hope that if you say Museveni family rule, then nobody will defend him. I am not in that maze. I will defend the decision.
You have the option.
I will defend, I will explain the decision. I will even apologize. I will even issue public rebuke. I think on this issue I have issued public rebuke to some of the errant behavior of some of those people. And that's my work previously as a spokesperson of NRM, but also spokesperson of government for 14 years. And I don't speak for the family, but I speak for those members who are in the government of Uganda. I have never spoken about their cows. If I was speaking about their cows and the quantity of milk and the amount of money they earn from their daily sales of milk, I would be speaking for their family rule. Because that's their family role is in their private home.
Okay, does it bother you that President Museveni has been at the center of the hostile Zimbabwe politics?
It doesn't. But
before you ask another question, what has Opondo said?
The president has been at the center of all controversies in different parts of the country where there are hotspots. One, he's a Ugandan, but two, he's the head of state, head of government, and as they say, the buck stops with him. Now, there are instances, many, where actually he's dragged in, either to mediate. Quite in some instances, he doesn't achieve the mediation. Should he give up when another episode erupts, I don't think so that it should do. But it is you are the one who has just said here, acknowledged that there are cases where he has judged and has intervened and settled matters. Must he settle all matters? Will he be, is a human being, will he succeed in settling every matter? Absolutely not.
But this is a nightmare that has endured forever.
Where you think the president has been complicit, you can sue him for negligence of duty.
Yeah.
No, you can sue him. No, listen. No. I'm using the phrase suing him.
I have never seen a photo today.
In a figurative sense. You can sue him. For example, someone constantly sues him on the media, saying this man is the single biggest problem of the country. Police don't support him. That's suing him. That's suing him
in the public court.
Yes, and you deny him votes. Increase your volume of that suing, so that 50+1 Ugandans don't agree with him, so that he goes back to his home.
Okay. Yes. What does the Zimbabwe fiasco, the entire Zimbabwe, is on tenterhooks? What does it represent or present to the electorate?
From where I sit, I told you earlier on that I have participated in meetings at the national level, regional, sub-regional, and district level. What I know is that the security architecture has been sitting, evaluating, and making analysis in the whole country. It is not just Zimbabwe. The possible hotspots in this election, and what are the triggers or drivers of those hotspots. I think they have developed a mechanism to mitigate, to thwart, to neutralize some of them before, and also, and partly, that's why all of us today, when we began, we said the nomination today
was good,
was better than previously.
Yeah,
I want to believe
that's correct.
That even that Zimbabwe that we fear probably will not explode.
So just fears are speculative.
Yes, not speculative. It is borne by past evidence.
Absolutely.
By past experience. Now,
evidence and experience.
It is up to the person being publicly accused and constantly so, my brother Sodo, to step back and say, do I deserve this this censure, public censure, and reduce you? He ought to know that he actually doesn't monopolize the means of violence, and that he cannot get away with it eventually.
Yeah, no.
And that should go to Sodo, that should go to all the other people. The violence in the NRM elections were not only in Zimbabwe. So the government system has mapped out those threat areas. And I want to believe management is going to be different this time.
Honorable Flavia.
I hope security has noted and will not have soldiers manning our election in Zimbabwe.
Honorable Flavia, by what you've witnessed thus far,
the deployment of soldiers,
what are your hopes and fears?
Is compelled by the nature of the threat.
No, they are deployed by a country.
Gentlemen, shall we let the lady speak?
I think for me, my hopes and fears for this campaign that we are moving into, one, the fear of the high-handedness that the military and the military interventions and the security operatives usually put into the elections. That is still a very big fear for so many Ugandans, especially us on the opposition, because all the time we see military interfering with political processes. We see people like the RDCs, the DSOs, the PSOs, the GSOs, security teams of different districts engaging directly, you know. We are in the electoral processes, campaigning for a certain candidate and not the other one, using state, you know, apparatus, state vehicles, state materials, the money, all using it all against one opponent, you know, and blocking rallies for different opponents' campaigns, also, you know, abducting, beating, tear gassing, jailing, and so many other things in that angle. So that is still a huge fear on the part of so many opposition people, and we hope that we shall have less of that this time round. I also want to see the Electoral Commission coming out strongly to provide
the memorandum he signed with Museveni. Because I told him when we were with him on this show that that memorandum for me was just an appointment letter. Beyond that, there was nothing in it. But maybe they did it tactfully to save face, make him look like someone who had not been compromised. Maybe Mao will be useful because you have seen even when, as a minister, he doesn't behave like a traditional minister. Sometimes he says things and you're happy with what he has said. But you cannot continue saying those things the way he says them and you're part of cabinet. They will call you to order. That's why now he wants to lay his own foundation.
Do you think there are undertones in his standing?
No, because the relationship, first of all, he created an impression that he had joined a discussion of a transition, which transition he will never discuss. Maybe that transition is discussed at a family level, and Mao is not part of that family.
But today when Mao was nominated today, he gave an interview, I watched him, and he said two bigger things. He said he has returned to parliament. He has sought to return to parliamentary politics because he wants to have a stronger route where decisions are made, bigger decisions are made. And secondly, he actually urged his constituency, Acholi sub-region and northern Uganda particularly, to vote for Yoweri Museveni. So if you're asking about the dynamics, although NRM had already, President Museveni had already taken the votes, majority votes in Acholi in the previous two elections, I think it's going to help NRM and President Museveni in particular to raise the percentage.
Jet, do you think Mao is the man to watch in the 12th parliament?
First of all, I like Chairman Mao. He's the titan of the profession. He's also a good human being. I think you can watch him. I imagine Mao as the speaker or deputy speaker.
I think you're enriching the speculation.
Yeah. I didn't know about the speculation, that's the right. But if it's there, I think for me, Mao would be a very good addition. For example, for me, you know, these institutions, if we don't build them, the institution is as good as the people in them. I can promise you. When you, for example, look at the judiciary. When you have some of the best people in the judiciary is strong. When you begin to get weak ones, the judiciary weakens and it can't defend rights. Parliament, the same story. Institutions, even the military, when you have very good commanders, the military is strong and people are not abusing it. When it gets into the hands of some people, then you have a problem. So for me, stronger institutions is what every Ugandan should yearn for.
Flavia, do you think Mao brings fresh breath to the opposition?
No, definitely not to the opposition. Because he himself came out strongly and declared that NRM, DP, and a number of other political parties that he mentioned are in bed. They have an agreement. So I no longer call him opposition. So I also don't see any freshness in that angle. I think he's just going to enhance the work of the NRM. Probably he felt like Honorable Sinziggu was saying, that he would create a difference in there, especially with his talk on power transition. But I think he's getting frustrated at the moment. That's why he's opting to come back into Parliament so that he can see how to better legislate and influence. Because how can a whole Minister of Constitutionalism and Justice say that the best place to influence and make the decisions is in Parliament when you are at the peak of the law itself? So I feel like his hands have been tied. He no longer has ways of, you know, of sprouting.
So coming to parliament is a last resort.
Is just a last resort to renew, or not to renew, to rejuvenate himself in a way, or to defend, not defend, I'm looking for that actual word, to kind of make a comeback in the hearts of Ugandans, because at the moment where he is stuck or stagnant, like the word he was using.
Do you look at Mao as the political messiah for the transition?
Messiah is a very strong word.
When Mao announced the MOU, we had a debate on this platform, and I actually rebuked him. I said, the NRM is conducting its own agenda, which is broad-based, which is pro-Ugandans. We may falter along the way, and therefore NRM is not going to be dictated to. Our agenda is not going to be determined by Mao. That's what I told him on this show. And I maintained that no one who joins NRM, especially when you join NRM on our terms, I think it is disingenuous of you to try to brag that you are the one going to determine the direction of NRM. No. Because we are convinced as NRM that we are not taking the wrong direction.
Yeah, but you see the Johnny come latelys are creating tremors in the party. You see the speaker and the deputy.
The speaker, the deputy speaker, they are a different dimension, because for them, they have abandoned their old ways, so to speak, their old group. They have joined the mainstream of the NRM, and therefore they have fitted in the mainstream of NRM, and they are conducting the agenda of the NRM, and they have not claimed that they are going to change the direction of NRM. The direction of NRM is correct. We may falter, maybe the pace, and so on, but the direction of the NRM of the mass line, everything we do, mass line, we do it in the open. When we make a mistake, we come to the public and say...
If it is corruption, mass corruption.
Well,
so mass
that's not our direction. That's a deviation. No, not our direction.
That's the faltering. That's the faltering you are talking about.
The faltering that I'm talking about. So, the Right Honourable Speaker, Beatrice Anywa, Honourable Thomas Sayewa, and others who are, and the Jews we want to employ to come and join us, they should join the central axis.
Does it surprise you that Mao is already being fronted or proposed as the next speaker?
Well, the next speaker is going to be determined by the majority party in NRM.
Yeah, but the power dynamics seem to place him.
No, we cannot.
Majority party in the next parliament.
NRM is going to be the majority party in parliament, is going to form the next government. So the speaker will be determined by the NRM team. And I dare say, the way I see it, now I'm on their platform, unless we have very, very serious issues. But we cannot prevent anybody from bragging that they have the power to influence who will be the speaker. Like Chinua Achebe says in Things Fall Apart, I think. He says the lizard that falls from the huge Iroko tree has the right to brag, to tap its chest if no one claps for it. If there are people who are saying Mao should be, I have no doubt that he can be a good speaker, certainly.
Certainly.
He knows the law, he has a tact of debate, and so I have no, but the dynamics of being a speaker is going to be determined by the NRM.
Yeah, but somehow...
and therefore...
somehow he's played a good pawn in the NRM politics, so you can't...
Well, I don't know whether NRM wants pawns. I think we want principled people who are going to take our line in a major body like legislative arm of government.
Pleasure having all of you. Honorable Flavia, good to have you. Council Jet, best of luck. You were nominated and it's now time to hit the ground.
Yes, I'm going to Toro tomorrow The president will be in Teso sub-region next week. Now that's...
Semuju Ibrahim Nganda, a frontliner, member of parliament for Kira municipality, launching a fourth bid, returning to parliament. Good to have you all. And Honorable, you for a while chastised Museveni for staying in power forever. Here you are now, seeking a fourth term.
Because I am not in power. See, that's a mistake. You, the media, you like misleading the country. I am fighting to remove a government, and it doesn't matter. In Libya, it took them 42 years to remove Gaddafi. I want you to begin counting the number of years I've been in parliament when we have removed Museveni. Then you will begin counting. Now I am in a fight. Why didn't you count?
So does this suggest that you'll be in parliament for as long as Museveni is in power?
I will fight whether in parliament or outside parliament as long as there is a change in government. So parliament now is the front that I am engaged with. Maybe there will be another front.
Well, it's been 2 days of nominations. What are your key takeaways? What are the highlights that struck you?
Someone asked me that question yesterday after my nomination in Wakiso. I listened to people nominating and the speeches they were making. Maybe people will forgive me because I am a journalist. You listen to someone wanting to join parliament and he has no clue, he has no idea of what takes place in parliament. Candidates contesting, some of them contesting against me in Chira, I had one of them saying, I am going to construct public toilets. And I said, do people even bother to read the Constitution? Because the functions and the roles of members of parliament are statutory outlined in the Constitution. It's like someone coming here asking to be a news reader. And then you say, when I come to NBS, I'll also be cleaning the toilet and it'd be nice to... If you're a news reader, that's what has brought you. So if you go to parliament, the work of parliament is statutory, it's in the law. You hear MPs are launching manifestos. I will have a rally to launch my manifesto. So it tells you so much about people who want, the caliber of those who want to contest for parliament, and people who have not done even the basic preparation to know what an MP does. And I get a sense that because you don't know what takes place in parliament, even the motivation is different. So that's my general overview. But I am happy this time that police and other security agencies did not brutalize people who are going to, at least in the main. I haven't heard or seen any report. In my particular case, the police largely in my area, Chira municipality, was professional. I kept wondering, were they nice to us because the NRM, because last time they would allow NRM to hold a rally, when you go there they stop you. See, maybe were they embarrassed that you are, but they were largely professional. The only person who disturbed us was a DPC of Kasangati, who was behaving like a drunkard. I met his group, including those who are putting on these Wombola-like uniforms, and they started beating my people between Kasangati and Matuga. And I asked him, the work you are doing is public work. So who has angered you? And if you are angered, is this how you express your anger?
Thank you. Councillor Jet, you're now right in the mud, in the mix of things. What stood out for you in these couple of days, and what kind of tone has been set by this nomination exercise?
First of all, for me, it's been, I have been campaigning for the last 60 days, so you can imagine. I am fresh on the campaign trail. Just 6 days. And it's been much learning from our people.
You've been campaigning? Before nomination?
No. You know, you have to correct signatures. You have to tell people I'm going to be nominated. You have to ask people to come and nominate you another second and the rest. So I've been moving around the constituency to understand. And just like Sinziggu says, the expectations of the people are far above what is statutorily provided for a member of parliament. But I think it has been a legacy of the politicians before, that they want to do much more than is statutorily provided for. And now I can understand why sometimes they don't do well in parliament, because they are busy doing the work that is not theirs.
Boreholes.
Yeah, boreholes. Much more than boreholes. Boreholes, actually, if that's part of oversight, because you represent 4 broader areas: representation, legislation, oversight. That oversight could lead to development. Because when an MP, when your job is to do a budget, when you allocate money for water to say Zimbabwe district, you as the MP, then you can go and oversight and see, were these boreholes actually delivered? Were these roads, the money for the road fund, has it actually been? If you gave a district a road unit, is that road unit being used? If you gave money for district engineer and the entire team. So, but I think they're doing much more than that. And hence, that's why you see the attrition rate. That's why you see nearly 70, I think statistics are about 70%. The Sinziggus are part of the top 15%. Survivors, yes, these ones are fossils. They've come 2, 3, 4 times. It means there's something they are doing right or doing wrong, but have perfected that wrong. But something they are doing that is unique. Because how come 70% of members of parliament never return? Is it, I think, here is the veteran of the numbers. He will give us the numbers. They never return to parliament. That tells you something. But for me, it has been a very good experience. Today I was nominated, and after I drove back to town, and I'm here as nominated.
Do you feel that pulse of a showdown in Maugora?
Yes. There's going to be a huge showdown in Maugora. There's going to be a big showdown.
The constituency where he has gone, last time, first of all, the current MP is Shatz, who is a daughter of Honorable Sam Kutesa. He, in the NRM primary, I think which they stopped, Fono will tell us, she was contesting against President Museveni's brother.
Sodo.
Eventually they sat down in their room and said, you wait. So this one should go this time. Now they said, you have enjoyed one term. So this is where he has gone. I don't know whether it's part of the family that now they have assigned him to go and contest.
He's going as an independent.
Yeah, but last time it was a family affair. So they sat in a sitting room and told one to leave it for the other.
You can see Sinziggu knows where the meeting took place. He may be part of the family. A disclaimer is that I am not part of it.
Well, Honorable,
in the sitting room. I wasn't in the meeting myself.
Flavia, it's the second time you're being nominated. What's been so unique about these nominations? Or it's more of the same tradition, different day?
Well, good evening, viewers. And I'd like to thank God that finally we got nominated and got nominations for members of parliament out of the way. It being my second time getting nominated was new, was a fresh experience, because the first time I was totally new. And so everything was different, everything was new. But now we have a new returning officer, We have a new electoral commission, more or less, but it felt more in command and more in power because now you're the incumbent, people want to unseat, which is very interesting because last time Kasana district had no incumbent woman MP. The last having gone to Muwende district in the 2016 general election, that was Honorable Bena Bugembe. So when Kasana district was carved out of Muwende in 2017, I was the first.
You'll allow me interrupt you just a second. I need let me get to OO. What makes these couple of days a big show worth a discussion?
Let me first respond to Honorable Sinziggu briefly. You asked him about longevity in Parliament and power in general. He made a disclaimer that he is not in power. Uganda's constitutional architecture is that there's the executive, Parliament, and the judiciary, and all of those were vested with authority. Power. And therefore, if you're a member of Parliament, you cannot say you are being disingenuous. No. I suspect
the same
in
the same constitution reading says power belongs to people. They have it.
Well, you are part of the people. You are part of the people, and we use in political science. There's a term we use, rationalism. It is done by reactionaries. People don't want to own up the truth. Don't want to be. They make convenient arguments to save their skin. About the nomination has gone peacefully because I said on this show before that we have had a series of meetings by stakeholders and particularly security organs. And we said as part of government, where I've just come from, is that, yeah, and that's also true. Because there are other branches of government where I am that are not obvious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think this time round the security people listened to us, the civilian people in the government, and also obeyed the commander-in-chief's instruction because their behavior, their professional conduct, their overzealousness, and so on, was created many of the publicity, free publicity for our competitors, even when they did not have a point, that became the center of the election. This time, that has been well done. I think also the Electoral Commission management now appears to be grounded. Also remember that the last time they were also new. Maybe they had timid feet, shaky bodies. They did not know if we put our feet, how would this person respond? But also think that out of the 2021 fracas, even the opposition, many people, many leaders in the opposition also learned that doesn't pay to be confrontational unnecessarily all the time. You have seen, apart from NUP, which has tried to do street bash, the others have generally lived to the agreement that try to avoid unnecessary traffic inconveniences to the public.
What has NUP done?
No, apart from NUP doing street bash, you can see their trail, their campaign trail. They try to do kind of street bash. But police knows that since they have about 5 or 7 engagements.
I think all is talking about street
processions.
Okay.
And that's the bash I was doing. Because you know they are musicians, they are artists, so the bash is more applicable. The police now understood that after all, even if they do that on the street, they have about 5 engagements to make. They are unlikely to be on the street for more than 20, 30 minutes.
Does NRM coming out with 8 unopposed candidates?
No, I'm coming to that. For the NRM, unlike in 2021, the constituency you have referred of his, we had a number, about 3 or 5 constituencies where because of bad primaries, we reached a stalemate. By the time of nomination by the Electoral Commission, we could not conduct primaries again. And therefore, we allowed the NRM contenders to run as independent, including his constituency. That
Maugora North.
Maugora North.
Shatsi came as an independent,
yes,
right?
and other constituencies. This time round, we have nominated officially in all the 519 constituencies.
Was he single result?
The direct constituencies, women constituencies, special interest groups. We nominated all. But also, because of the time, we held our election primaries in mid-June, end of June, I think. We have had time to resolve a number of things. And therefore, in many constituencies, there has been convergence, local convergence, and people accept to live for the NRM. Where NRM is over-dominant, or the personality of the candidate is over-dominant. Take the case of Wuliira, take the case of Rohingya North. In Kiruhura, NRM is over-dominant. The constituency of Kugonza in Hoima. We now, by this evening, we have 18 MPs unopposed. I know for sure there are many more, particularly in the special interest elections.
But you've also seen disgruntled members, disgruntled former contenders, like Bahati, coming as independent.
There is no election since multipartyism in 2006, 2005, 2006, where we have not had a huge number of discontented members who are participating in the primaries and lost either fairly or unfairly coming back. We have had. But
this time there seems to be a huge formidable block. They even had to go and meet the president.
There's no single election cycle where losers have not looked for the president and met them. In fact, in all the previous ones, it is only in this one, by the way, where the losers have appointed a backbencher as their chairperson. That gentleman, SN from Kapelebiong, our current MP Kapelebiong, who, even me, by the way, I have never had the opportunity to listen to him debate on the floor, but somehow they found it reasonable to appoint him to be their chairperson. Previously, they were bringing ministers to be their chairperson in the hope that a cabinet minister, a minister of state, has more leverage in seeking appointment for the president. This time, the losers followed the president up to Arua. And you saw when they came out, they tried to misrepresent the outcome of that meeting, and it compelled the press secretary to the president to issue a clarification that they had not. But knowing the president and NRM generally, we bend backwards because we acknowledge, we are realistic that our primaries, we have not yet reached a level where we can declare that our primaries have no unfairness. Quite often, the unfairness aggregates and is visible.
Well,
sometimes even embarrassing that you find it very difficult to say don't go as independent.
I want to shift to Honorable Flavia, but what does the emergence of the likes of Jet, Bahatis as independents mean to NRM?
No, it just means that we must double our effort in advanced preparation. Once we complete election, and we have, like this year, what you are asking me, we have had out of the 337 members of parliament of NRM, only 101 won the primaries. The other 200 plus lost the primaries.
Incumbents?
So, yes, incumbents. So that's about 67%. 70%. Yes, plus minus. That is worrisome, especially considering that we have been 2 decades practicing multipartyism. We should be able to prepare internal issues, because what leads to bad internal primaries has been voters membership and voters register. 2, bad-mannered election officials, because bad-mannered, ill-trained hodgepodge, because we pick them haphazard as the elections near. And therefore, they are susceptible, first of all, to make genuine mistakes, but they are also susceptible to be manipulated by candidates and candidacy groups.
Well, Honorable Flavia, the floor
it just says we must begin to prepare early enough.
What signals did you read out of this entire nomination process, and what kind of tone is being set for the campaigns?
I think the nomination campaign was largely this time around a bit more peaceful than before. Although we had some instances where we saw some members of parliament, especially those from the National Unity Platform, not able to nominate. For example, in Bimufukidde, where we tried to have a woman member of parliament a number of times, and 3 contenders that we had put there for the first time were all deleted from the register, and were sued by court by the incumbents over documents. And then the next the one we replaced with the other 3 up to now, Asio Flores, we don't know where she is. She was waylaid by her team, together with her team, by people that are unknown, and she was unable to nominate as well. So I think for me, that reflects much on what O was talking about, the predominant personalities sometimes that are within these areas that totally don't want to practice democratic practices, that feel like they are the alpha and omega, and no one should oppose them in any way, and no one should even say anything about them. That's why we have that standoff in Bimufukidde. We also had a standoff at Kachumbali where we are trying to, one of our people, NUP.
It's not Kachumbali.
Kachumbala.
Mbala.
Mbala. Yes,
Kachumbala.
Kachumbali.
I know how much you love
it is also in
Kachumbali.
it is a constituency in Bimufukidde district.
Yeah, in Bimufukidde still. So it's still the same district that is bringing in all those restrictions.
So those were the biggest features.
I think for me those are some of the niches, but also we have a number of women, when I go to that angle, in the gender angle, that have failed to nominate. We have a number of young persons that have also failed to nominate due to the outstanding nomination fees, as usual, and of course the highly monetized, issues surrounding the nominations of a parliamentary candidate. So I have to come out to help a number of them, although our party also helped over 140 candidates to be with nomination fees to help support them to be able to nominate. But I think at the end of the day, the nominations went a bit fairer compared to last time, where we saw people's suits getting torn up, where we saw rallies,
Statistically speaking, do you want to suggest that this time NUP has been able to nominate countrywide? You have a footprint across the country.
I would say that we have a footprint wherever we've been allowed peacefully to have a footprint, with external factors constant, because we spread out, we have candidates, but we've also supported the process of getting our candidates to nominate. Unlike before, when we are just starting and we are a little bit unprepared, we are actually largely unprepared at the time, because as you're all aware, NUP metamorphosed from the People Power movement. So that time it was quite different in comparison to now. So I think our numbers have gone stronger.
So does it give signals that this time NUP could have more representation?
Definitely, Simon. Definitely, NUP is going to have more representatives in the Parliament of Uganda. We are confident of that, because we're also confident in the fact that we've got very good MPs, members of Parliament, that articulate people's issues, that speak with the people, that give hope and unity and courage to our people, and that also focus on our message, which is largely to ensure that we focus on the change, that the democratic change and processes that this country badly needs. So I am very hopeful that you are going to see more than 52 members of Parliament from the National Unity Platform emerging in the coming Parliament, the 12th.
Very interesting. Honorable Sinziggu, how significant is it that this time, unlike the past times, we've had more candidates nominating, And like Honorable Flavia says, NUP has been able to set foot in different parts of the country. Does it speak to anything?
I haven't looked at the numbers. In the last election, I think more than 2,000 people nominated to contest. I am not sure the number has gone up because I haven't looked at it. But the candidates looking for platforms will always be there. Because political parties will hunt for candidates, but there are also candidates who are hunting for political parties. If you are able to provide nomination fee and some logistics, sometimes you may attract candidates, especially because a candidate who doesn't have a capacity to raise nomination fee on his own, and I used to argue in the FDC, the prospect of that candidate winning that parliamentary seat is, I believe all these often opponents who are given, even when they have. Because in NRM, candidates must be given money for nomination, for everything.
But they also pay.
But for the opposition, sometimes the candidates that you will attract, I mean, I've faced it as a Secretary General of a political party. People calling you and say, where's the nomination fee? And then some of them, by the way, fair good candidates. But they tell you they are unable to raise, because you see, for you to win an election, there are things that you must do. I mean, you must be visible, you must print posters, you must either hire or have a public address system. So if a candidate cannot raise 3 million shilling, he's going to be lucky to go through this election. But almost all opposition political parties have that problem. NRM, I think, gave theirs, all of them, including ministers. They all given the money to go and nominate. So there are candidates you attract if the platform is popular, but also contesting. Some people just like contesting. Even a person who has no 1% chance to win will pick nomination papers. Where I am, I think we are now 9. I saw one quarreling yesterday after nomination in Wakiso. I was almost the last. But the journalist had withdrawn during his nomination. They didn't cover it. And then he said, but how comes they have come back when they are nominating Semuju? So there are candidates who, even the constituency, will not be bothered. In the last election, I discovered there were 2 other candidates on the election day itself. I didn't see them at all. I didn't see their nomination. I didn't see them campaigning. I only saw their faces when I picked a ballot to go. In the last election, I think we had 1,200 independents, more than all the candidates of all the other parties combined, something like that. So the spread, because the opposition is limited. First of all, the NRM, this military junta, is also bad-mannered. They have created small constituencies in areas where they are dominant. And you see Ofono celebrating, they have MPs who have gone through unopposed. But they have created, I keep telling you here.
Those so far declared they're not coming from small constituencies.
I
am now, even Bukede is creation of yesterday. Ruhina is also creation of yesterday. Both
but they are not, even Kira municipality is not long ago.
Kira municipality is 500,000 people.
No, I'm talking about recent creations.
So it would have been created much, much longer. But let me not lose the focus. So the numbers themselves are defective. They misrepresent the real situation. I told you here some time ago, Karamoja with the 1.4 million people has 26 MPs. and Wakiso with 3.4 million people, just 9 MPs. So our numbers as opposition would have been much bigger than they are if there was any formula followed in the creation of constituencies. And for me, I like going back to Professor Juko. He appeared before the Committee on Parliamentary Affairs. At that time I was a journalist at Mont. And he was telling MPs who put a requirement that we just a political party, it must be national in character. I think that's what is also in the Constitution. You see, a political party doesn't have to be national in character. He said the ones that want to take over power will, as of necessity, be national in character. But he said people have a right to form a political party to champion either regional or sub-regional or ethnic interest, as long as those who want to take over power will, that in itself will make them be national. So I am not one of those who are bothered by political parties where they are national, as long as you have the numbers or you have established the reason for your existence.
Councillor Jet, Sembabule, Maogola to be precise, has you as an independent facing off with Sodo, one of those hotspots to watch. But there is also Honorable Theodore Sechikubo coming as an independent. Does this suggest that the independent sentiment is huge in Sembabule and there is something unresolved about NRM affairs?
First of all, Maogola North is not part of the numbers that OO gave you where primaries were held. In fact, when I was moving around, people were saying, for us, we have no flag bearer. Because people line up behind a flag bearer at every village.
Yeah, there was a settlement.
Thank you very much. There was a settlement, or whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is that there was no voting. By the time that settlement was reached, the door had been closed. There was no time for anybody to come and conduct that election. I don't know whether that was deliberate or accidental or pure coincidence. So we never had primaries. So there was no primary to talk about. That is why even the candidate who has a flag doesn't know whether he actually has support or not. And that's why I am actually running as an independent. Had there been a window, because I'm NRM, I am a supporter of President Museveni. I have voted him since 1996 when I started to vote as a youth. I have had the opportunity to represent him in the last 2 presidential election petitions at the center. I've also represented the National Electoral Commission. But the door is closed, and Zimbabwe is largely NRM. Now, when you close that door, you disenfranchise many people. That's actually what shocks me, that yesterday, when that candidate was being nominated, the NRM candidates at different places, chairpersons or what, they were asked to go and accompany him, and they refused to go. And he was forced. He had like 100 cars, and like 90% of them were coming from Kampala. So that should tell you something.
I hope this is not blackmail.
No. Check out the videos. You recorded, check the videos, and you know, cars now, we can show you all the number plates.
Can I ask just for my information, if you don't mind?
Yes.
Because I saw NRM announcing a period for people to pick, was it expression of interest?
Yes. So
you mean for your area, that didn't apply?
No. People expressed interest. And then they had a cut-off date. When they had cut off the date, the 2 candidates who were in the race, one withdrew. So clearly, the other one was left unopposed. But you don't know, because you see the flags are given in the fields. by people lining up behind you.
You are an NRM member, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you're rebellious because NRM is offended by independence.
No, NRM is not. Actually, out of about 70 independents, majority of them, nearly 90%, are NRM leaning. What is critical is that you have the voice of those people heard. In fact, even when the president was unopposed, there was a motion. There was a motion to confirm him as an unopposed candidate at Kororo. So when you are unopposed, you don't know what support you have. So we never had. So there is Maogora North has a difference. There was no contestation.
You are contesting against his brother. In their DNA, maybe they are all supposed to be unopposed.
So Semuju,
no, I'm just asking.
Don't take me to your stuff. Me, I want to tell you what happened. So whether the president was unopposed. So for us, we don't want, what we have rejected in Maogora North is that business of choosing for us leaders.
No, you can't go against the position of the political party where you subscribe.
No. I subscribe to the NRM. Yes. I support President Museveni. I also support the right of the people to choose their leaders. And they must choose them. And I have offered myself to be chosen as their leader. And when they vote me, I will go and represent them as their leader. As NRM independent leaning
What is
MP. Your
relationship with Sechikubo?
Sechikubo, we were together at university at some time.
Yes.
I met him today. He was so happy. I met him. We both got nominated today.
Yes.
Sechikubo.
You're both independent.
Yeah. Sechikubo.
And you warm up to each other.
No, Sechikubo is a nice guy. I know him. We are colleagues. We have no problem at all. I wish him well.
So you belong to the bloc that is opposed to the status quo.
No, I don't want to call it a bloc. It's maybe that this point in time, because I have not been a politician. All I have done for the better part of my adult life is legal practice. I have been propelled into politics because we have a candidate chosen for us and we have rejected him. And we are going to reject him overwhelmingly.
While you celebrate the reality of people who are standing without rivals, standing unopposed, the Bukedea scenario makes NRM look rather odd.
First of all, let me go back to Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe is finished.
No, because I think there's something that my son here doesn't want to say. NRM did gazette a period for expression of interest, nominations, campaigning, and voting. I think because of the contestation, which was very strong, irreconcilable, almost violent, many people in that constituency, Maogora North, thought the matter should for now be left between Sashi and Sodo. Now, when Sashi pulled out, the time had been closed. Many of these people then had an afterthought decision. And I think Jet here made an afterthought decision because
opportunistically.
No. He has been public about it. After looking from his lens, looking at the quality of the person who had now been given the flag without actual voting. For me, I think that was a good procedure. I have no issues with the Sodo. I have no issues with how he came. I really think that NRM did the right thing. Now, I think they must be having a think tank, a group in that area who said, no, we can't be represented by these people, this kind of person. And they have been very
What's wrong with him?
They have been very categorical on the academic qualification. You know, Semuju here is the one who is now overhyping academic qualification as if academic qualification is everything.
You see,
but
you are
let me complete
you are
this.
misrepresenting me. I spoke about competence. There is a difference between academic qualification
and competence. That's
why people of the same qualification are subject to interviews.
Jet here has
to understand me.
Jet here has been public about it.
Academic
To
qualification,
say
but no competence.
this person who has been asked to represent us does not have neither the academic qualification
nor the competence.
Nor the competence. Yes. And he adds other things that I don't want to add. And so I think that's what motivates him now. I hope he has energized the base of the NRM and the electorate there to say, they have even reduced it to the level of saying this person cannot make coherent, intelligent argument in the official language.
Absolutely.
Which is the one going to be used in parliament.
That's true.
Therefore, may not have capacity to digest policy issues.
But parliament provides staff.
No. This is the argument. This is the argument.
But the staff don't speak for you on the floor.
This is the argument.
They can help you in your office.
In the media. This is the argument in the media. Now, the second issue you raised, you said.
Bukede.
No, I will want to finish with that. The second issue you make is that is Zimbabwe the hotspot of independence. These people are now having one independent or two only. The constituency where I come from, I have two constituencies. I have the constituency of West Budama South. The one currently being represented by Honorable Dr. Emmanuel Otara. 5 people, NRM people, or 6, competed there. A former RDC, a businessman, Mr. Maungwe Langa, another person who has been a politician there, LC3 chairperson, and a former police officer, and then Dr. Otara. 6 people. All of them, the police officer won the ticket. The other 5 rejected the results. All of them have come back. So for them, we have 5 NRM leaning independents in that constituency. 5, not 1, not 2.
So that's the hotspot.
Yes, that's the headache.
Yes. In the constituency of West Budama Northeast, the one that currently being represented by Honorable Fox Odoy.
West Budama Northeast.
Yes, Northeast.
And that I told you last time when you were creating these
go and revise your geography in the campus. In the campus, there's a southwest.
It does not
northeast.
But yours has become a result of subdivision.
No, we are picking, even that campus is a subdivision.
Yeah.
There can be a north south.
So in that particular one, by end of nomination today, there were 9 candidates, 1 NRM flag bearer, and 8 of them, 7 of them